Hello, hello, hello. How to find the perfect house for sale in Arlington, Texas. How to buy the house, your dream house, without getting overwhelmed, without getting lost in the process, and just making it happen. So that is what we're looking at today. How to actually find that perfect Arlington house for you. So sorry, I keep looking down. I just need to make sure that the audio and everything that we need for today is working. And it sounds perfect. Awesome. So if you have any questions as we get going, let me know in the comment section down below. But also, as we are, as we continue trucking with our video, let me know in the comment section down below. Do you live in Arlington? Are you considering Arlington? And if not, why? So any questions, comments, concerns, always welcome. And of course, a like is appreciated because that helps us distribute this information far and wide in YouTube land. But with that being said, today we're going to explore how to find that perfect house in Arlington. So we're going to go into the Arlington neighborhoods. We're going to look at various neighborhoods here in Arlington, Texas, given that it's pretty diverse, it's pretty big, right? So Arlington is actually the third largest city in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, next to Dallas and Fort Worth. So it's a pretty big city. Second thing we're going to look at is we are going to do we're going to go through actual properties, and we're going to break down what to actually consider when you're looking at these properties. Because again, when you're looking for homes, it can get a little bit frustrating, a little bit overwhelming if we don't know what we're looking at, especially if this is our first time purchasing. So that's something we're going to spend some time doing. And then at the end, we're going to go through various loan types, various loan scenarios that you might find yourself in so you can make appropriate real estate decisions when it comes to financing. So that's what we're doing today. With that being said, let's get moving and grooving and start off by finding some information about Arlington that we'll need. Now, we're going to zoom in here real quick, and we see there's over 1,000 properties. Again, Arlington's pretty large. There's over 1,000 properties available for sale right now, and the average price is $398. Now, this includes condos, this includes land, this includes various other types of properties, but for the most part, that's not too far off from what's actively on the market right now. So we're going to only look at single family today. We're not going to worry about beds, baths, or anything at the moment. First, we need to establish where the heck Arlington is. Now, this link, so to get to this website, just go to JaimeResendiz.exprealty.com, and you're going to be here. So just so you know where Arlington is, if this is your first exposure to it, it's right smack in the middle of things. So you see between Fort Worth and Dallas, there's Arlington. Again, it's one of the largest cities in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. And at this point, it is pretty landlocked. So it growing beyond its, I believe it's like 400,000 in population at the moment, is going to be challenging, next to impossible. But with that being said, this is Arlington's really one of my favorite cities through and through, because I have several properties there. I've lived in and around Arlington for so many different years, and I just appreciate it. Arlington's pretty dope. Now, with that being said, let's see how many actual single family residences we can count on for sale right now. There's about 680 properties for sale. The least expensive home, we're going to start here and then we're going to make our way around. The least expensive home for sale right now is actually a manufactured home. There's several manufactured homes and some investment opportunities for you. But the least expensive home for sale right now in Arlington is $75,000. 1,200 square feet. And this is, again, it's a manufactured home. So you see the other manufactured homes there as well. Now, the rest of these properties here, like these properties, they are investment opportunities for you. As you can see, they need a little bit of TLC, need a little bit of work. So this is what you're looking at when it comes to properties available for sale right now in Arlington. Now, we're going to scroll through here for a few pages, not a ton. We just need to get our footing and on what type of real estate is available. And I want to, there's two milestones that we look at typically whenever we search for homes in a specific city. We look at the first milestone being at what price point are rehabbed homes, remodeled homes, flipped homes, they're all basically the same meaning. At what price point do these flipped homes or these rehabbed homes come out, at what price point are these properties being sold in? So this gives me a hint of rehabbed vibes right there. This gives some rehabbed vibes as well. So we're going to look at it just to see at what price point, if we were considering buying new, at what price point we would need to be at. Okay, this is unique. let's move on. That's unique. Let's move on. All right, so this is rehabbed right here. So we're starting to see some rehabbed homes are still under $300,000. So if you're looking for a home that has been flipped, rehabbed, renovated, whatever you want to call it, you're looking at about the first milestone being $270,000. Now, again, it gives us a good indicator of where the investments are in terms of prices. It gives us a good indicator on if we're wanting to find a property that's like new, that's ready to go, that doesn't really require a lot of work on our end, at what price point could we expect those? So that's the first milestone whenever we're looking at cities. The second milestone that I like to look at is what price are actual new homes being sold. Now, Arlington does not have as many new construction homes available at this point in time because, again, we are pretty landlocked at this point, but we are going to find some new construction along the way as we continue scrolling. But I need to skip a few steps to get to those types of properties given the price point. So notice that we got to page 8 before we got to page 7 before we arrived at anything above $300,000. So there's a lot of opportunity for homes under $300,000, and you see quite a few of them are actually pretty darn good. But let's continue, see if we can find some new construction along the way so we have a lot of rehabbed homes. So you see a lot of options within the 350 and below, even including 300 and below as well when it comes to rehabs. All right, so we're just scrolling through here, trying to find some additional, trying to find that second benchmark or number the second type of property that'll give us that second benchmark of at what price are new homes being sold. So this is a new home right here. This looks like an individual for sale property, which could be from a builder that is not as big. I like the style. Graham Hart Home Builder. Yep, this is not a big production builder, so we can always appreciate that type of builder. So he's putting product out there at $435,000. So if you're looking for a brand new home, you're not too far off in the 400,000s. Here's another one. Let's see if it's the same builder. So right around the 430s is where you see, another Graham Hart home. Right in the 430s is where we see that second milestone. Again, I like to see at what price are rehabbed homes hitting the market, and also at what price are brand new homes, assuming that there's still new homes being built in the city, at what price point are those hitting the market. I like seeing that. All right, so with that being said, let's look at some information about Arlington before we actually dive into one of these properties, because we're going to purchase it, or we're going to do the math behind it, so you get to see what goes into looking at property and how to analyze property a little bit quicker and a little bit more efficiently. But also we're going to get into some numbers so you can see what it ultimately costs to purchase. But before we do that, let's look and see let's look and check out some basic information, some overview information to see if this is a property that we would like to go with, or a city that we would like to go with. So the population right now is about 400,000. You have a 2022 population census there. So we're 2 years removed from this number being accurate, which puts us at about 400,000 residents. That's pretty massive. Again, this is the third largest city in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Dallas being number one, which must have 1.4 million. And you also have Fort Worth, which at this point should have 800,000. No, about 700,000 would be about right. And then you have Arlington. The median age, you're looking at the median age being 33. So this is among the lower medium ages that you're going to find in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Now, there's several things that contribute to the median age, but one of the things that I like to call out, since this is a real estate channel, is that the less or the lower median age that you find typically means the lower the real estate prices are in that area. That's just a little rule of thumb that ends up becoming true. And so just want to call that out. There's other things that we could decipher from the median age, like as an example, if the median age is on the lower end, you're typically looking at younger families. What does that mean? That means opportunities when it comes to childcare. It means that there's going to be a lot of individuals that a lot of businesses out there that that provide for younger kids, right? So childcare, you have that. Well, childcare and daycare is the same thing, and things of that like. So it really caters to that type of resident, right? So you're usually looking at affordable options when it comes to shopping, affordable options when it comes to restaurants, and things similar to that. Now, we don't look at the other numbers because they typically just end up being a little bit different depending on who you ask. But the one thing that I do from time to time share is the median household income being $72,000, which is about average for the DFW area. So this is about average, slightly less than the average actually, than the average income for the DFW area. Now, when it comes to the property value, well, you already saw that the average property value is a little bit different than what you see here. So we're not going to worry too much about it. What I do want to call out though, as we go into this a little bit further, and then we go into an actual analysis of a home, what I do like to call out is the home ownership rate. The home ownership rate in Arlington is among the lowest. Let me say that again. It's among the lowest in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. And the reason for that is there's several reasons for it. But when you see a lower home ownership rate, that typically lets you know that there is a good amount of renting going on, which is not a bad thing, but it's just be aware that that's happening. And what also means that real estate prices tend to be a little bit lower. Why is that the case? Well, it means that there's investment opportunities. So you have folks that are buying properties and are not living in the properties and are renting them out. So typically, again, with the homeownership rate being on the lower end, you have you tend to see lower real estate prices as there's more investment opportunities. Now, if we were looking at, if this as an example, if the homeownership rate was if it was in the 80s%, in the 90s%, or if you were Southlake as an example, which has a 98% homeownership rate, well, that lets you know that the real estate prices are going to be on the higher end, given that at that point, the homes of that value that are at that expense typically are owner occupied. So the home ownership rate there, in order to purchase and afford a home in that area, you would have to be, you would be purchasing that property and you would be living in that home and not necessarily renting it out. So again, the lower the home ownership rate, that means that the lower the real estate prices are. The higher the home ownership rate, that typically lends itself to being a more affluent, or what I call a destination city, where people actually aspire to live in, and are not necessarily looking to purchase a property in that city as an investment. They're looking to purchase that property in that city to live in, so that's the destination for them. All right. And now the other item before we get into the breakdown of a particular city that I want to call out is the commute time. This is, since Arlington is in the thick of things, this is among the lower commute times that you're going to find, but you're looking at 26.9 minutes, which some of you might be thinking, well, that's still a lot. Well, I don't disagree. It's still pretty high when you're looking at the average commute time, but anywhere here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, you're looking at 20 minutes minimum, basically. So again, Arlington has among the lower average commute times around, because it's in the heart of things. But you're also you see a lot of Arlington residents that commute into Fort Worth to live and commute into Dallas to live. And since it's so centralized, you have a lot of people living in Arlington but don't necessarily work in Arlington proper, in Arlington itself. So it does lend itself to be a commuter city where people will move to Arlington more because of the affordable real estate prices, and then commute over into other cities throughout the DFW Metroplex. So that's what I wanted to call out in this particular website. Everything that you're seeing today is going to be linked down below for your review, so please make sure to check that out. Now, let's get into analyzing a home real quick before we actually go through the numbers. As you see here, this is the tool that we'll be using, courtesy of Win the House You Love, which is a partner channel to us with Kyle Seagraves, as he is the creator of that tool. But with that being said, let me move myself quickly and let's find a property that we want to analyze. Now, we don't want to, let's just scroll through here and find a property that meets our criteria. What criteria is that? It looks pretty. I like this area. I like this, where is this? Lake Lois Drive. Okay. It's been reduced. Let's see it. All right, so we're going to run the numbers on this one. This one seems to be fine. Okay, this is probably just based off of the build, based off of the tree, based off of kind of knowing where this area is. You're probably looking at an 80s home. All things considered, I'm looking at the brick. I'm looking at this. It's probably in the 80s. 81. Yep, not too far off. Actually, it's right on. All right, so let's look at some numbers real quick, and then we're going to look at the property itself to identify a few things that we might consider. All right, so this is in Tarrant County. That's going to be important when we pull the property tax rate, because we don't want to forget that. We don't want to miss that at all. So let's bookmark that for a second. The zip code, traditional 1981. So a year 1981, that typically lends itself to having several different updates. At this point, you're going to be on your second or third HVAC unit with a 1981 property. When it comes to your water heater, you're looking at your third or so water heater at this point. In a property of this age, you for sure have a new roof several times over. And in some cases, you're going to look at probably have some foundation work being done at some point in time. That's what you're typically, these are things that you're going to pick up. So once we go into this property, we're going to see how many updates or lack thereof there has been. So this is something that you're going to pick up as you start looking at different properties. But a lot of things can be appropriately deduced is the better way of saying it. Can be appropriately assumed. Also is another good word. Look at me using vocabulary. Can be assumed based off of the year. So you're looking at a 20, what's that? 40, 45-ish, 44, I don't know, 43 years old. Is that right? Yeah, we're going to say that that's right. Taxes, we're not going to put as much importance in because we need to calculate them ourselves, given that the taxes that are being paid by this homeowner are not going to be necessarily the same ones that you're going to be paying. Several reasons for this. One, they could have some exemptions that you're not eligible for. You're going to be eligible for a homestead exemption, but assuming that this is an older homeowner, they might have a 65 plus exemption. They might be a veteran. They might be disabled. There might be some other reasons that the tax amount is this and not higher. So what I'm going to do is just very, very, very briefly do a very, very gross, meaning not in the disgusting way, but like a very broad estimation of what the property tax rate is. 1.7 if I just divide that by the assessed. So property taxes here, you're probably looking at 2.2 to 2.4 is what my guess is going to be based off of these taxes. So these taxes appear a little bit low. Actually, they are lower than what you're probably going to be paying. And I'll explain more a little bit later. Again, I want to give you the entire context, and these are the things that I'm looking at. So as I'm budgeting, if I was going to purchase this house, these are the things that I am considering and are running through my mind as I look at these numbers and having looked at thousands of properties at this point. bedrooms, 3 beds, 2 baths, so 2.5 baths. That means that there's, well, anyway, let's keep continue going. I want to show the properties. I want to show the images. 2566 square footage, so that's going to put us in a larger lot, and sure enough, almost a fourth of an acre, so we're looking at a larger lot. An eighth of an acre is normal for newer homes. This is not a newer home, of course, but just give you an idea. If you're looking for more area, more land, more larger lot, your better bet is going to be looking for older homes, because they used to build homes on a fourth of an acre. Then it went to a fifth of an acre. Then it went to an eighth of an acre. And pretty soon it's going to be less than that. So just be careful. General features, we don't spend too much time in here because we're going to see them a little bit better on the images themselves. The one thing that I do want to look at is the HOA. Is there an HOA? Is there a homeowners association? Because that's a yearly fee that we're paying every single year, and there is none. So that's, depending on who you ask, that's a good thing. Some of us like HOAs because it's supposed to maintain the value of your home a little bit more, and it's supposed to have a little bit of a checks and balances on what the neighborhood's going to look like. And some of us hate homeowners associations because we think that they don't do anything. I fall somewhere in between. All right, so with that being said, let's check out the property real quick. All right, so we are on a fourth of an acre, right? We're on a fourth of an acre, just about. That roof looks newer to me. So typically you're going to see more of that color roof, not a black roof. So this lets me know that at some point this was rehabbed or updated significantly. Now, what I'll be looking for, so that is an original door, and it could have been refurbished, it could have been cleaned up, but it for sure was painted. You see some faux finishes, so that's something that it was, was all the rage a few years ago, a significant amount a few years ago, but not as much anymore. So depending on what type of upgrades we see in the home, this might not be your best fit. So these are all originals. When I say all, I mean the cabinets. So the dishwasher is an upgrade or has been upgraded. This is not original. So it's a gas property. These are originals. The ovens are originals. They came with the property, or they came there since 1981 basically. All right, so you have updated countertops, upgraded countertops, and you have a faucet that was also updated at that point in time. This looks like original flooring, so you have the tiles down there. The one thing that I would look for, and I can already tell it's probably original, the one thing that I would look for in a property of this age would be the windows. So whenever you're looking at a property, you might not be able to see the windows through the pictures as you're kind of looking at right now. Am I in the way? Let me move. But once you do go to the home and look at it up close and personal, look and see how much room to run the windows have. Because at this point, they appear to be originals. So every single one of them has probably condensation in them, and because it's impossible for them not to have broken seals at this point. It looks like a very well maintained property. You have a little wet bar right there. Okay, so we're just going through the flooring. Okay, so you have some tile, and then you have some actual hardwood. You have the backsplash over there, so this was updated at some point in time. I like that. Now the walls, they weren't necessarily touched. This has a ton of character. I do enjoy these older style homes. Don't get me wrong, I love new construction. I love new homes. In fact, that's been my investment strategy for years, where I just buy new homes, and that's worked out pretty well from an investment standpoint. But I can always appreciate a home that has a bit more character, has a bit more uniqueness to it than what folks call cookie cutter homes that are being sold right now. But I mean, everybody has their own style, but I can always appreciate a home like this that actually has a bit more uniqueness to it. So it's original. And now this, well, I say original. Let's back up for a quick second. This feels like an add-on to me. You're not going to know until you're in the property itself, but this feels like an add-on to me. So just be mindful of that. Whenever you have a home that has been been an addition to the property, they're going to put that the home has a certain amount of square feet, and they're going to count this as a square foot, because given that it actually has the centralized air and heat. But if you've worked with contractors before, if you built anything before, you know that everybody has different standards in the terms of in when it comes to quality of the craftsmanship. So you want to look very carefully, and your inspector also wants to look very carefully at how the addition was constructed. Guidelines change all the time, from electricity and water and requirements for entry and egress, whatever I forget that word, but there's again, with additions, just be careful with that. They will be included as if, it's when real estate agents price it, most of the time they include it as if it was the same in like the square footage is the same as the other, like the addition, they don't delineate between this addition was X amount of square feet and the original home was X amount of square feet. They add it all together and they price it the same basically. And that's not always going to be the best bet. This does feel a little bit of addition E. Now, why is that the case? Well, I feel, again, I could be completely off, but based off of, again, all the homes that I've seen and walked through and, worked with in the past, it would be abnormal to have this. And so you have double windows basically of looking out and then looking out again. I do feel that this is probably an addition. So I also, if I could see this a little bit closer, I would see this being as a brick. I would see this being brick as well, but it would be very easy once you're there to actually see if that's the case or not. I do like the home. There's nothing wrong with the home. So you have a standing shower and a bathtub. Always appreciate that. You got his and her over here. Now this one's probably, maybe I'm just seeing things. No, what almost made me say that this is probably an addition as well, which I don't believe that actually, are these planks back here, or that finish, whatever you call it. But it's not the case. That's an actual room. Now I'm starting to see things. So the individual that this was added later, this was not built with the property. I do like that, and I know exactly where that is based off of this property actually. I like this. Ooh, a nice pergola on here. You got it made. Yeah. Good stuff. All right, so I'm seeing over here you have some wooden fence on the side, and then you have the gate or gated fence back here. Okay. I like it. You have some mature trees. Yeah. All right, so that is enough of that, folks. We got to get into some math, but before we do, actually not before we do, we've already done that. Let's do some math real quick. Let's see. We like this. We have seen this. We want to buy this house. What does that look like? So now that we know the area that we're in, now that we are pretty sure this is going to be the property that we want to buy, let's start doing some math. What's it going to actually cost us? So we're going to use this tool. This is linked down below, by the way, where you could also go to winthehouseyoulove.com, and you'll have the Loan Clarity Advisor link there. So make sure that you grab this so you can do this analysis the same way that I'm doing. Just follow along. All right, so for taxes and insurance, we're going to select Texas as our state. Our purchase price is $440,000. That's what we're offering. Property taxes. This is just a overview, but note, property taxes in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex are higher than the average bear, are a little bit on the higher end when you look at it compared to other cities, or I'm sorry, to other states and cities. So what do we need to do? We need to find the actual property tax rate for Arlington. Remember, this number over here, this is probably not the number for you. This is probably not going to be the number that you ultimately end up paying in taxes. That's what the homeowner was paying. So we actually need to find what the actual taxes that are going to be due for us. So what we need is the actual property tax rate. So we're going to go to Arlington, Texas property tax rate. All right, so what do we see here? We see property tax rate, Arlington, Texas. Let's click on that. And as you can see, it doesn't tell us anything. So let's click on that number right there. And this also doesn't tell us anything. And just if this is your first time watching this channel, or if this is the first time being exposed to property taxes in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, this is common. This is not abnormal. You would think that it would be so easy for you to find the property tax rate that the city itself would give that to you. But they don't. They do not. So I need to spend a little bit of time of explaining property taxes so we can manually create or come up with the property tax rate that we're going to be paying. In the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, there's 3 assured taxes. 3 taxes that you're going to need to find. These tax rates that you're going to need to find come heck or high water. It doesn't matter what city in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex you're buying in. These 3 taxes, these 3 numbers need to be found. Number 1, the city tax rate. The city itself has a tax rate. Number 2, the county tax rate. Depending on the county that the home is that you're purchasing, you're going to get that tax rate as well, because you need to add that in. Arlington is in Tarrant County, so we're going to need that number. The third one is the ISD, the school district. That is going to be the largest of all the numbers that we're hearing right now, or all the figures that we're going to talk about. That is the largest. The ISD, so the school district tax rate. Those 3 numbers come heck or high water. We need to find them because every single city has them. The next 2 oftentimes present themselves, oftentimes come up, but not always. And that is a higher education tax. So think of like community colleges, and then a hospital network tax. So think of it like if you're in Dallas, Parkland as an example. So those 2 numbers occasionally come up. Those 2 figures occasionally come up. So we need to find those in the event that they present themselves. Now, some cities are really, really good, like Crowley, Texas. Shout out Crowley, Texas. Will just flat out spell it out for you. Well, I want to show you real quick. And I know this is not I know I didn't title this video, hey, let's talk about property taxes, but they are so important. We really cannot miss. We can miss them, but these are so important that I'd be doing you a disservice if I just casually said, hey, those are, we'll deal with those later. No, we need to deal with them now because they're that important. So remember those numbers I was talking about? So City of Crowley, ISD, Tarrant County, hospital network, and this, they didn't label this, so shame on you, Crowley. Here I was giving you a shout out and you do this to me. They didn't include the higher education, so like community colleges. So as you see, there's several numbers that need to be added up. And as you can also see, Arlington didn't give us any of that, which is not uncommon. The cities are just so interesting. So we have to do this manually, which means that we need to either go to the county and or look at a third-party website that at some point has that information. So let's go to the county and see what we can find here. We can do it based off of property. But let's see if there's an easier way. We can manually do this. So this one should have the rates. Okay, this one has all of the rates. Think of it like just a little sheet, like a little index. And I know this can look intimidating, but don't allow it. You have way more information than the average bear. So what we need, again, up to those 5 numbers. So we for sure know we need the city, we need the county, we need the ISD, and potentially higher education, and potentially hospital network. So what do we need to do? We need to look for the city of Arlington. Actually, it's going to be Arlington, isn't it? Yeah, right here. So this number, we need to know this number, 0.589. Now, what else do we need? We are going to need Tarrant County. So Tarrant County is right here. We're going to be using this. That's the second number we need. Third number is the ISD. So we're going to scroll down. and there's the ISD. The fourth number that we're potentially going to need is a hospital network. So JPS, that is JPS. I just recently found out what JPS stand for. It was a running club buddy. John Peter Smith, is that what that stands for? What does JPS stand for? Side quest. The Tarrant County. What does JPS stand for? John Peter Smith, he was right. Shout out Justin. Justin was right. A couple of days ago, he mentioned that, and I was like, I had no clue. I didn't bother to look. All right, anyways, we're going to be adding that. And we're also going to look for the higher education. So we're going to go ahead and tack that on. Now, if we were in a rural area, if we were like in, further out of town, then I would be looking like at a mud district. I would be looking at a PID tax, but we're not going to do that since it's Arlington. So again, we need to get those 5 numbers, which we already have. So I'm going to add this via our handy dandy calculator. 0.5898 plus 1.115 plus, what else do we need? Tarrant, 0.1945 plus, that's the water district, 0.1945 plus Tarrant County College, 0.1121. All right, so the property taxes that I come up with are 2.20. So 2.20, we're going to round up 2.21. It's a very fair estimate, and it's actually on the lower end when you compare it to the rest of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, which ranges from 1.8 to about 3%. It ranges that greatly. So for our purposes today, for Arlington, the reason that we're making this video about Arlington is so we have this specificity for our calculation. Now, unfortunately, I cannot get down to that specific percentage, but we're close enough when we're thinking it's 2.21%. 2.25 is not too far off. So when in doubt, here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, go with 2.25. When in doubt, if you have if a neighboring city, use 2.5%. When in doubt, that'll be the average. Insurance, I'm going to go up a little bit to 0.8%. So 0.8% is basically an estimate of what your premiums are going to be per year, and then we divide it out by month. So we're not going to spend too much time with that. Just know that that's the general rule of thumb that we use here, especially as home insurance rates continue to rise. HOAs, we don't have an HOA, so we're not going to calculate that based off of this particular breakdown. So we're going to be good to go. Now, since we are going to analyze different loans, we're going to open up different options for us, which again, this is linked down below. Make sure that you check that out. We're going to be making 5 scenarios. We're going to be creating 5 scenarios real quick. We're going to go conventional loan 5%, FHA loan 5%, and we're going to do a conventional loan at 20%. That's what we're going to be doing. Now, this is down payment. That's what I'm categorizing here. So we're going to do a conventional loan at a 5% rate. I'm sorry, at a 5% down payment. And we're also going to do an FHA loan. We're going to put 5% down. Conventional loan, we're going to put 20% down. These are the 3 situations or scenarios that we're going to run. They're all going to be 30 years in length. And the interest rate that we're going to be using is, we're going to go to Google. What is the interest rate right now when buying a house or something to that effect? And we're going to go to bank rate. As of Friday, at the time of this recording, where did I go? As of Friday, August 9th, current interest rates in Texas were 6.47. So that is the number that we're going to use, which, just so you know, this last Friday, it was 7.4. So they drastically changed in a matter of a week, in a matter of a day, really. So we will welcome that. We're going to put a 6.7%. We're going to also put a 6.7%. We're going to also put a 6.7%. Now, in reality, just to be completely candid with you, in reality, these are going to be a little bit different. Typically, if you put more money down, this is actually going to be a little bit lower, just as a heads up. But we're going to keep these constant. We're just going to assume that we're going to be charged the same interest rate, which in reality, it's not going to be the case. But I just want to fill you in with a reasonable estimate on what this is going to look like. Points. What are points? You can buy points. You can buy points to lower your interest rate. So this means that you can purchase. Said a different way, points are nothing more than prepaying interest. So you can pay an amount to lower your interest rate. That's what that means. With the calculation here is for 1% of the loan is typically what it's going to cost you to purchase a point. So if your loan was $400,000 as an example, the cost for you to buy down 1 point, which I'll share what a point is, to buy down 1 point is going to be $4,000. So here you would put $4,000, and a point is generally going to drop this down by 0.25% or so. So it could be more, it could be less, but just a general rule of thumb. So here you could buy down the interest rate down to 6.25 or something to that effect. It's going to vary. I cannot say that enough, but that would be a good general rule of thumb. Now, we're not going to do any point buying right here because it's all going to be different. Every lender is going to treat this slightly a little bit different. Same with lender fees. So we're not going to really touch these. The best way for you to use this tool would be once you have a lender in mind and they have run different scenarios for you, shop that around and plug their numbers in and compare them against each other. You can compare all conventional, or all FHA if that's what you're going. So you can have a really apples to apples comparison across all lenders. Monthly mortgage insurance. So what does this mean? Since we put less than 20% down in these two scenarios, we're going to be paying what's called mortgage insurance, which is essentially a insurance that the lender puts on you in the event that you default, which is another way of saying you're going to be paying more every single month so they can recoup their money a little bit quicker. So that's essentially what that it ends up doing. Now, with that being said, if you were to put 20% down on the purchase of this property, you would not have any mortgage insurance, and you're going to see that in the calculation down below. Now, the downside to that, I mean, sounds great, right? No mortgage insurance, but the downside to that is that's $88,000. That's a lot of money. If you're able to and you choose to, by all means, please go down 20%. I'm kind of half and half. Half of the properties that I've purchased have been 20% down. The other half have not. I've been in the 10 to, it's been ranging actually from like, no, I don't think I've done a 5%, 10 to 15%, just depending on what the lender was requiring for that loan for me at that time. So again, mortgage insurance is going to be assessed to your loan because you put less than 20% down on both of these. Now, one big difference between a conventional and an FHA loan is that with the conventional loan, once you surpass 20% equity in that home, meaning as you're making payments, eventually your mortgage insurance goes away. And on the conventional front, it's called PMI, private mortgage insurance. On the FHA side, that mortgage insurance never goes away. Never. Until you pay off that home, until you sell that home, until you refinance, or I guess I shouldn't say never. Those are 3 ways that you get rid of FHA. The mortgage insurance, once you pay off the loan, once you refinance, or you sell that home. That's how you get rid of the mortgage insurance under an FHA loan. Now, if you're going to be making extra payments, let's just say you get a bonus. Let's just say your kids start paying rent. Let's just say you run into a lottery, whatever the case may be. You get a raise, whatever it ends up being. You can add additional extra payments and run different scenarios. You can do a monthly and or a lump sum to see how much quicker you can you can pay off that loan. Now, given this scenario, given these two scenarios that we just went through, these three scenarios that we just went through, conventional at 5%, FHA at 5%, and conventional at 20%, if you were to go down the conventional route in 10 years, you will have saved $71,000. That's a lot of change, but also remember, you put in a significant amount of change at the beginning. However, you're paying less in the long scheme of things. Now, if you mature that loan, meaning if you go out through 30 years of that loan, you will have saved $141,000 having gone down the conventional route. And this shows you that in graph form. So this gives you the amount that you ultimately pay in interest, right? So this gives you this explanation. So just wanted to share that with you. Now let me run this back to 10 years so we can get to the next part. This is your loan breakdown, basically giving you real life numbers after 10 years. Your finance mortgage interest is FHA. That only applies to FHA, which is 1.75%. This is the fee, basically 1.75% of the loan value. That's a fee that's being assessed to you through the FHA loan, and there's no way around it. You're going to be paying this finance mortgage insurance, but at the same time, you're also going to be paying mortgage insurance on that as well. So you're adding these two up because again, you didn't put 20% down, mostly on this one. Now, the conventional, this will eventually go away. Again, we're doing this loan cost breakdown after 10 years. This will look different after 15 years, after 30 years, and beyond. But as you can see here, so far after 10 years, you will have spent $252,000, $256,000, or $212,000 in interest through this scenario right now after 10 years. But let's look at the monthly payment. From a monthly payment perspective, we're going to go down to year one, meaning your first payment, first year. What does that look like? Here's what it does for you. Your monthly mortgage payment for a conventional loan at 5% down, trying to buy a house for $440,000, given all the criteria that we just input to our calculator here. Where am I? I'm right here. Your monthly payment's going to be $3,900 or $3,961 for a conventional loan, $3,972, a little bit more through an FHA loan, and if you would have put 20% down on your conventional loan, you're looking at $3,336. That's what the breakdown would be. So most of it, again, we're calculating based off of year one. Most of it's going to go to principal at the very beginning. And let me rephrase that. Peanuts are going to go to your principal at the very beginning, as you can see on all three loan products. Most of your payment's going to go to interest. So the interest gets paid down significantly faster or more at the beginning than the principal. Taxes. That's why it's important for us to have an accurate estimate on what property taxes can be. So property taxes, if you annualize those, remember when we did our calculation, we said, what did we say? It was 2.2, and right now we're calculating it at 2. So it was 2.21. The official answer that we came up with over here on the tax rate. Oh, I already X'd out of that. But now, if we annualize this on a conservative route, you're looking at $9,900 in property taxes. Is it going to be less than this? Yes, because we're actually overshooting it slightly. So, and I hate to do a lot of subjective math, but I kind of have to. Since this property, I'll give you the exact number. Why not? I'll give you the exact number. So right now, the super safe, super conservative number is $9,900 is what you would be paying in property taxes per year on this property that you're purchasing. However, don't say I never did nothing for you. we're going to do this. I'm going to show you exactly how much you would be paying. We're going to go to Tarrant County Appraisal District. I just have to, I can't show their names of the owners because that would be, I don't want to dox them. But I will find the property on the CAD, and I will find what the assessed value of their home is right now. And I will give you a pretty fair representation of why the number is the way that it is. Let me make sure I get this correct. What did I say? 2.2. And what are the property taxes? Yeah, they apply the homestead. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, I'm ready. So check this out. So note that this property is being sold for $440,000. This is what's called a market value. Where are y'all? Did I lose you? Okay, here we go. Note that this, wait, are you able to see this? Yeah, you are able to see this. Note that this property is assessed at, no, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm getting a car right now and I'm losing my train of thought. This value right here, this is what's called the market value, what you can sell it in the market, or what's being attempted to be sold at that market. So this could be right. This could sell for $440,000. Now, there is something called an assessed value, and that is what the value that the county appraisal district is going to use to tax you on. So that 2.21% that we've been talking about, that will be charged against your assessed value minus a few deductions. So they've applied a homestead exemption, so they've reduced their tax liability a little bit. It doesn't show you exactly how much, so I'm not going to be able to get exactly the exact number, but assuming that this is what the assessed value of your home ends up being when you own it, which is not likely, just to be kind of honest with you there, but let's assume that that's the case. Your actual 2.21, right? Your actual property taxes per year would not be this amount. Because again, there's some exemptions. We already know they've applied the homestead exemption, but we're not necessarily sure how much it was for. They're paying $77.46 in property taxes. You most likely, unless you most likely are going to be paying somewhere in the ballpark of $82.32. Now you also have access to the homestead exemption. I can't say that you're not, because you will. But most likely when a sale happens, the assessed value is going to go up, because there's a record of it, what the actual property has sold for. And they won't assess you what that is, but keep in mind there's a big difference between being taxed at $440,000 and $372,000. So they've done a really good job of protesting the property taxes. Most likely they've done a good job of doing that. So this is $70,000 less in assessed value that they are saving. I know I threw out so many different numbers. I know I did. But at any point, if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. I'll gladly walk you through that. All right, so homeowners insurance. All that to say is this is a conservative number. This is assuming that you're paying $9,900, which are $9,900 per year, which you're not going to. It's going to be a little bit less, significantly less. I'm going to put it right around $9,000 is what you're ultimately going to be paying on taxes on this property. HOI, homeowners insurance. Here it is also an estimate, so the monthly premium is probably going to be around $290. Your mortgage insurance, since you're still in, and this is year one, you're paying mortgage insurance about $209 per month. Over here, you're also paying mortgage insurance for FHA loan, and on the conventional loan, you're not paying mortgage insurance. But see what happens after let's say year 12, your mortgage insurance has gone away. So here again, with your conventional loan, once you get beyond 20% equity in your home, your mortgage insurance goes away. With FHA, it never goes away. You're always paying something in mortgage insurance. All right, so with equity, there's a few talking points that I could go into here, but I just like doing this. It looks pretty good. It looks good seeing the amount of equity that one owns at a particular point in time. Now, the only thing I want to point out here with the loan details is when your mortgage insurance falls off. The rest of the information we've already been discussing, so there's not much that I can bring to you with this particular chart outside of sharing with you the exact moment the mortgage insurance falls off, assuming, big assumption, that the property doesn't appraise. This is just based off of payments. Your property is going, did I say appraise? Assuming that the property does not appreciate in value, which most likely your property will appreciate in value. So your mortgage insurance would fall off well short of 10 years, like within 8 years or so, depending on the level of appreciation. But anyway, if you're just going based off of the math, this is when officially your mortgage insurance would fall off at that point in time. All right, so one of the questions that comes up all of the time, one of the big debates, especially among my peers is, well, maybe not a debate amongst my peers, but it's my peers, or the real estate agents, like to say, well, if you're renting, you're throwing money away. If you're renting, you are paying somebody else's mortgage. If you're renting, blah, blah, blah. Villainizing people that are renting. There's nothing wrong with renting. What I want to show you here is the difference between ownership of a property versus renting. There are some situations where it makes more sense to rent. I know I make money off of sales, buying or selling, but at the end of the day, I would much rather be honest with you and just straight up front with you. Like at some point, in some situations, once we go through analysis with our clients, I have no problem telling them, hey, thanks for your time, but I don't think that this is the right time for you to purchase. Same thing on the selling side. Hey, I really appreciate you considering us for to list your home and sell it, but I think it might make better sense if you kept it and built wealth, or just maybe hold off a few years before you make this jump, because you might not have enough equity to cover. It might be too financially strenuous to sell. But anyway, with that being said, I want to show you in this particular breakdown, if you were to sell your house in 10 years, this house that we've been talking about, what would that look like? And I'm going to assume a very modest, a very reasonable appreciation rate of the value of the home of 3%. The cost to sell, I'm going to say it's going to cost you 6% to sell, factoring in real estate agent commissions, factoring in prepping the home for sale, factoring in all these other costs that you want to factor in. Let's just say it's going to cost you 6% of to sell your property at the end of the day. Now, taxes, we're going to assume that property taxes are going to continue to rise at a 2% per year. We're also going to assume that your homeowner's insurance is going to continue to increase by 2%. Now, we could actually even go a little bit higher if we want to, because chances are, at least for sure on the homeowner's insurance, it's going to go higher. I just can't tell you otherwise, because that would be wrong. Taxes, in some cases, you are going to have taxes be lower when it comes to the rate, but the value of the home, since it's appreciating, it would go up as well. Now, with that being said, here's the breakdown of what this looks like. So the appreciation gained of the home's value, I don't know what is going on today. Everybody wants a piece of, we're getting all these calls today. Am I on the news? So probably some footage got leaked. I don't know what's going on. Appreciation gained. Here we go. The appreciation gain is going to be the same regardless of the loan that you go with, because it has nothing to do with how you finance the property. It has everything to do with how much the value of the home went up. So that's appreciation. So that's 151 after 10 years. Cost to sell, same thing. It has no bearing on how you financed your property or how you bought it. You could have bought it with cash. Does not matter. The cost to sell, we've estimated a 6%. If you want to reduce it down, by all means, please do. Loan cost. This is going to be this is dependent on the type of loan that you got. given that with a 5% conventional loan, your cost of that loan was $275,000 after 10 years. After 10 years with an FHA product was $283,000, and after 10 years with it, you doing 20% down, it cost you $212,000 in a loan cost. Now, property taxes, you're looking at you having paid property taxes of over $100,000. Imagine that, over $100,000 in property taxes. That's why it's so important that we know what these numbers are. Do not get blindsided. Don't be like me. I had no idea what property taxes were until I saw that first bill. It's still painful. Property taxes. So again, conventional, property taxes has no bearing on how you finance it. It's property taxes on the value of your home. Assessed value of your home. Homeowner's insurance, you're paying about $40,000 in homeowner's insurance. Again, has no bearing on how you financed it. And your HOA is this. So after 10 years, your cost of ownership was $310,000. That's how much it cost you. So essentially $31,000 per year. That's your cost. Now, for comparison, a rental payment of, let's say, $2,500 to be in a similar sized home, or you could even do less if you want, or more if you want, it would have cost you $353,000 at a annual increase of 3% per year over 10 years. Right? So if you're looking at it from a math perspective, if you're looking at the costs, there's your comparison. Now I can, again, this is where I kind of get in trouble with my peers. I can make a case for either. I can make a case for, it might make better sense for you to do renting right now. Because over here, there's a few numbers like that aren't considered the expenses, if you will. Over here with the rental side, I could also make the case for, I don't know how to phrase that. I can make the case for either or. I can make the case for the rental side, making the rental make sense for us. But I could also make the case of buying and why that would make sense for us. Because although this is pretty clear, there are some numbers that we would need to bake in later on based off of your situation, based off of your cost. Based off of your specific situation. But as you see here, the benefit and costs, you see that it costs anywhere from $246,000 to $310,000 to live in these 10 years. And over here, it would cost $353,000 if we were renting. And this factors in as much data as possible into one simple number. Now, when it comes to the amortization table, the only thing I want to show you there is that at the very beginning, very little goes into principal. A lot of it goes into interest. But as you continue making payment, you're going to see that more and more goes to principal, less and less goes into interest. That's a big thing to be mindful of when you're making payments. So whenever you're making extra payments, make sure that you make them towards principal so you can eat into your ending balance as much as possible, as opposed to not, because that's how you actually start paying down your loan a little bit quicker. Folks, that is all I had for you. That is how you really purchase a home. That is how you purchase a home in this market. That is how you purchase a home in Arlington, Texas. If you have any questions, comments, and concerns, please feel free to reach out. We'd love to support you with buying. We'd love to support you with selling. At any point, if there's anything that I could do for you, please feel free to reach out. Our contact information is down below. I'll see you on the next one.